Welcome into NHL Tonight, first shift for a Monday, December the 16th, 2024. EJ Radic alongside Dave Reed. Reader, we got to do the Islanders and the Hawks yesterday on the NHL Network Showcase game, and Connor Bedard scores late to give the Hawks the win.
Crazy ending to that game. And what's crazier is the special teams of the Hawks are doing extremely well. The penalty killing was great.
Yeah.
Fifth in the National Hockey League going into that game.
And kills.
That's, fantastic. Just tremendous for a team so low in the standings to have such good special teams. Not so good for the Islanders, but a fun finish. And Connor Bedard wraps it up in about a minute to go for the game winner.
And the Islanders, just touch on that quick. Last in penalty killing, last in power play. I mean, you have to get those things fixed.
Absolutely. A one power play goal would have made the difference. Now, the goal they gave up on the power play was a 5-on-3.
5-on-3.
So, that's a lot. But the power play definitely, they could have helped them out with. They had a power play 3 minutes to go in that game.
Yeah.
They didn't score.
Yeah.
And they lose it with a minute to go. So, crazy finish, but a regular occurrence if you're an Islander fan lately.
Yeah, they did a good job on the power play. We're looking at the net. Look, there's the net. Let's hold the puck. Let's hold the puck.
Let's hold a whole separate segment.
I know, really good. All right,
we can discuss that later.
I better table that because we'll lose the whole hour right there. But let's get to first things first. And boy, we don't have a lot of games tonight. We got 3, but we got 3 good ones. These are meaty games here. And how about that right on NHL Network? The Stanley Cup final rematch between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Panthers winning the Cup in Game 7 down there in South Florida. So they get together for the first time since then tonight. So what better place than to start is with the Oilers and the Panthers. And the Oilers have been hot. I mean, they've won 5 in a row. Leon Draisaitl has been rolling. He had 3 points in this impressive win over the Golden Knights. Remember, earlier in the year, they lost in Vegas 1-0. These two teams might see each other again in the playoffs, and if they do, we'll be treated to a really good series. But you can see here the Oilers, they're on a roll, Reader.
They are. Draisaitl in this 5-game win streak. Leon Draisaitl has got multiple point games in all 5. And Connor McDavid's been averaging over 2 points a game, and he hasn't had multiple point games in every game, but he's averaging multiple points over 5 games as well. And when you get Draisaitl and McDavid going
on separate lines.
Hyman is now starting to score some goals again. He's not on the 50-goal-plus pace, but he's starting to score.
Then he got hurt,
but he's scoring.
Yeah, now he's
playing
well.
Part of the problem early in the season with Edmonton is you had 2 guys doing all the work.
They weren't scoring as a team, really.
Right, and now they are, and now everything's clicking. It's taking a little bit.
Power play's getting better again.
Yeah, and they're 5 straight wins.
How about Draisaitl though? I mean, we talk about all these combinations, right? He's with those Hall of Famers. Podkolzin on his left and Kapanen on his right. I mean, they got Podkolzin from Vancouver. He was a high draft pick.
Good player.
And Kapanen was somebody that was highly thought of as well, but he was on waivers. They got him. But those 3 have kind of found a nice chemistry with one another.
Good speed with Kapanen, and Draisaitl is the brains of the line. I mean, that's what you need. You need one guy to be the distributor and to make the plays work. You need another guy to have energy. That's Kapanen. And Podkolzin's got a good shot. He's got good speed. He's a big enough body
good
to
size.
Get in. And he moves well on the ice. And Draisaitl is putting points up. He is what he is for a reason. He makes other players around him better. I mean, how long did we talk for Sidney Crosby year after year? He wasn't necessarily playing with the Malkin on every single shift. He never played with him unless it was the power play, unless they needed a goal in the last few minutes or something. So, Connor McDavid's the same. Great players make players around them better, and it's pretty obvious with Leon Draisaitl.
It's funny. It's Chris Knobloch's 100th game behind the bench for the Oilers. Remember, he came in last year, and they went on that great run. But I think I would think he likes it better when both of those guys, you can see the numbers under Knobloch, they've been very, very good. But when he's got McDavid and Draisaitl on different lines, that creates so many matchup issues for your opponent. You can put them together late in periods, or obviously they've worked together on the power play, but the fact that those two are producing on separate lines makes the Oilers really tough to deal with.
So they average just over 21 minutes each in a game. They're very close, but they're just over 21 minutes each. That means that they're not on the same line. That means they're on the ice possibly 35, because power plays, they will be out there together. So let's say 35 to 40 minutes of a game, one of those 2 players are on the ice. And chances are one of those two players are going to have the puck and making something happen, whether it's in their own zone or not. That's pretty good when you've got a whole bench full of guys. You've got 12 forwards. 2 of them are on the ice. One of those 2 guys are on the ice. Over half your game, a little easier to fill in the gaps. And when they're rolling and they're playing well, it's much easier to fill in the gaps. Not saying that Chris Knoblauch's job is an easy job behind the bench, because he still has to manage some of the best players in the game, and sometimes it's even more difficult to manage the best players in the game than it is to manage, role players who are just like, yeah, put me out there. I just want to go. Sometimes it's much more difficult to make sure that the top guys aren't too tough on themselves and that they're still managing to do what they're supposed to do and play in that elite level. So good for Chris Knoblauch. He's done very well. Seemed very comfortable from day one when he got in Edmonton.
Well, he had the relationship with McDavid, going back to their time in junior, and he had the relationship with Jeff Jackson, who is now the CEO of hockey operations there, on exactly the title, but he's the grand poobah above a lot of guys there, right? So he had those relationships. They wanted Chris. They called him from the Ranger organization. He had been coaching at Hartford. And, to go back to managing and learning, right? We all hopefully get smarter and get better as we go along in life. And for these coaches, they get hopefully smarter and better. In Game 7 last year, it was a 1-goal game. I thought Knoblauch, I don't want to say panicked, but he went to McDavid and Draisaitl together a lot in that game early. When they got behind, maybe he could have just stayed the course a little bit more with his group. They were playing well. They had won 3 games in a row. And those guys looked like they were out of gas by the end of that game. So just, again, an observation. Knoblauch now, maybe he realizes, or maybe he feels like, hey, I have to focus on trying to have these guys be really good with other people to make us more dangerous consistently.
And that's what you get from coaching hundreds of games in the National Hockey League. And even though when you think you've seen it, and I've done this, done that, it's something comes up that, you know what, you take your note, just in case this happens again, because things do change. And he's going against Paul Maurice, who has been around a long time. And,
and Paul has evolved and
yes,
way better coach now than even he was in his last stop in Winnipeg.
But it's not easy to coach anybody, not easy to coach the National Hockey League, but when you get to a Game 7 and it's your first year and you've got a couple of the best players playing
that temptation,
game,
right, is...
It's difficult not to say, you know what, I'm going to win with, I'm always like, let's win or lose with our best. Yeah. There's no use losing that game. So let's say let's say they had rotated 4 lines in that game, and Chris Knoblauch had played his 3rd and 4th guys much more, and the minutes were a little bit more evened out. You could be sitting here going,
why did he play?
He should have gone McDavid and Draisaitl a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm a believer that you win and lose with your stars. I played in Dallas and Colorado. In Colorado, it was Peter and Joe, Sakic and Forsberg. Yeah. And let's go. We're going to win with these guys. We're going to lose with these guys. I'd much rather make sure that I'm on the bench watching those guys out there. And if we lose, it's like we gave it our best shot with our best players on the ice, rather than having me and a Sean Podine out there in the last minute. It's like, yeah, but you guys are having a good game. Get out there. It's like, are you kidding me?
But they didn't play those guys. He didn't really in Colorado. Now, you refresh my memory on this, but he didn't have to play Forsberg and Sakic together a lot, right? If they,
but we did. It wasn't.
But you didn't do it all the time.
No, we didn't
in Edmonton.
But in a Game 7, unfortunately for us in 01, Peter wasn't with us.
That's right.
He lost his spleen, so he was out. But in bigger games throughout the course of the year and through the course of the playoffs, as their 2 years with them, you definitely, like Joe and Peter, could get out there to start a game, start a period. You need a big shift. You could throw them out there together. You killed a penalty, boom.
Timing, right?
Absolutely.
Timing, right?
And it all depends who's on the ice on the other team. But Leon and Connor have played together enough.
And played very well together.
Exactly. So that chemistry is there. Peter and Joe were more their own unit. Yeah. And it was like, okay, we've got the 1-2 punch. We didn't necessarily need to put them together.
And
we also had some other
great players,
really good Hall of Famers kind of sprinkle in around them.
And different era.
Yeah, but I have no problem. You put McDavid and Draisaitl out there.
Yeah.
You put them. Let's say you put them out there early and they get you a couple goals. Yeah. What a great job! They got a couple goals. They got us the lead. Now you spread it out. Well, it doesn't happen. Okay, we tried it.
It's like timing, managing the game, situations, right? That's what it comes down to. Let's get to this game tonight because the Florida Panthers. It's been a struggle of late. They got shut out in their last couple of games. In fact, if you go back to last year, they were shut out on exactly the same dates, on exactly the same trip, and they found themselves coming into Edmonton having been blanked twice in a row. And in that case, last year, they came up with a 5-1 win. You can see it here. Same dates, different opponents, but kind of an eerie situation.
Very eerie situation. Very weird. I mean, your trips are always pretty much basically, the schedule is very similar every year after year. I mean, it was in Boston, we always went right away at the start of the season out west, and then we had another one usually around the All-Star break. And that's still fairly consistent. Teams, with the scheduling, it's very consistent. Being on the exact same dates is odd. Getting shut out in those two, I can guarantee you, in next year, in 2025, if I'm scheduling Florida's games, I'm avoiding
those dates.
Yeah, no. Put us the 13th and 15th, not the 12th and 14th. Put us whenever you want. Just don't put us on those dates. Maybe throw us into January, so we'll change it up a little bit. That is, it's just weird. Yeah, it's weird.
And so the Panthers will be eager and hungry to get back on track tonight. But they've been good this year. But you won the Stanley Cup. The next year you're trying just to kind of continue to play well. You're waiting really for April, May, and June, though, if you're the Panthers, to try to win again. It'll be their third straight trip to the final if they get there, and if they were to win again, second straight. But, Matthew Tkachuk, he was quoted this morning, as they in the run-up to this game. It's a great quote from Matthew talking about being in the Oilers' shoes last year. Jameson Olive had this. And, talking about Florida last year when they played Vegas, right? He goes, I was pretty angry playing against Vegas the first time last year. There was nothing you could do about the year before. But they took away your dream, basically. I expect tonight will be a very, very intense game. And he's talking about from the Edmonton standpoint, they want to, even though the cup will not be handed out, you want to win.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. No question. You want to win every game, but this is going to mean a little more, especially in Edmonton, to the fans of Edmonton, to say, you know what, and the players will be kind of sending that message to the fans. It's, we remember last year, and we didn't like the way it ended last year. Yeah. And we're going to give you everything we've got to make sure you're going to go home happy, and that it's like they're not doing this to us again if we get there in another 4 or 5 months. But no question that the Connor McDavid is going to had this one circled on the calendar immediately, and I'm sure there was more players in that roster had it circled. So this is, and for right now for Edmonton, with Florida's coming in with a pretty good burr under their saddle. Yeah. They haven't played well. No. They haven't scored goals. They need to get a win. And now they're coming in here. Florida will be ready for this game. This could be the most and the best prepared that they will be in a game in the regular season, I think, all year coming into tonight. After shutout twice, coming against the Oilers, who they beat in 7 last year, in Edmonton. The fans are going to be nasty. It's going to be a pretty emotional game for everybody, and I would suspect the first period should have a lot of intensity. And I'm not saying firework intensity, but I'm saying it's going to be a fast game, and it should be physical early. And
the Panthers have done a good job this year of when tough challenges come their way or tough opponents, they play their best. We've seen it throughout the first couple of months of the season. They'll try to get back on track tonight. Now, the question is, will Barkov be in the lineup? Because he did not take part in the skate this morning. He's a game-time decision. He missed the last game being ill. So, obviously, it makes a huge difference. Because he sets the tempo for that entire franchise, really, and that team. So, they're hoping he's able to go tonight.
Well, it was, Barkov against McDavid. That's your matchup right there. And if you don't have Barkov in your lineup, you've got to find someone else to slow Connor McDavid down. Yeah. Sasha Barkov is one of the best in the game at playing both ends of the rink and being able to play with the high-intensity players with tremendous skill. So it would be a huge bonus. The only thing is, missing it because of illness, missing because of injury are two different things. Yeah. It's like if you've had the flu, I'm sure most people have had the flu, have had something that you feel run down. It sometimes takes you a couple days to get back to 100%. So that intensity level or the the staying power on the length of shifts and the recovery coming off of the flu the first couple of days in games, that could be an issue if Barkov, if that's what he's going through is the illness rather than injury. An injury is different. An injury, you're able to keep up your energy. You're able to continue to train. You're just not able to continue to train the injury. Yeah. But when you're ill, it sometimes takes a few more days. Yeah. Once you're back, just to get yourself. Yeah.
Because you play, maybe you're 85%. You're not 100.
Yeah. And if you're 85 against Connor McDavid,
not good.
I don't care who you are. That's not good.
So good. So we'll keep an eye on that. In fact, Barkov's the only guy that scored a goal for the Panthers on this road trip. So kind of crazy. Hopefully he'll get to go tonight. That'll be a good one. 8:30 right here, 8:30 Eastern right here on the NHL Network. Let's talk about the Washington Capitals and the Dallas Stars. Look at this. I mean, their last 10 road games, perfect. And then their last 9 games overall, near perfect. I mean, what a story the Washington Capitals have been this year. They're leading the Eastern Conference with the 44 points. I mean, they're only a point behind Winnipeg for the overall lead in the league. They've played just the 29 games. They're plus 38 this year, winning at home, winning on the road, and now they go down to Dallas tonight. And the Dallas Stars have had their number in Dallas over the last several years, but I mean, throw it out the way the Capitals are playing this year. They've been just they've been finding ways to win.
They have. You know, you've got to look at Spence Carbery. What a great job he's done.
Absolutely.
Getting this team even to a higher level than they were in the past. And you know, on the power play without Ovi there, Carlson's kind of slid over to that spot.
And they've been way better.
You've got Chychrun in there.
They've been way better.
You said it. I didn't say
well,
it.
I mean, it's just in a short window.
Numbers-wise.
Yeah, in a short window.
But their power play has been solid without Ovi. When I look at standings, the first thing I look for is regulation losses. That tells me right there how good a team is. And when you've got 6 regulation losses and the closest team in your division has got 10, that's 4 games. Like, it's not wins, it's regulation losses. And 6 for the Capitals.
Pretty good. Right from the start of the year.
That's very impressive.
Right from the start of the year, they've come out. They've played very, very well. The 2 goalies, you know, Lindgren and Thompson have been good. The additions that they made in the offseason, Chychrun has been just fantastic. You know, Dubois is starting to kind of really find his game more. And even when he wasn't producing, he was playing very well as a big, strong, two-way centerman throughout the middle of their lineup. Strome has emerged this year even more so than last year. And even when Ovechkin's out, he's still producing points. I mean, they're getting contributions from a lot of different places. I just like the way this team is built.
And their special teams are strong, and they're not relying on their goaltender because they're defensively responsible. Yeah. They're very impressive. The road record, when you can win games and you're 10 straight
on the road,
that's really impressive because you know what? Sometimes it's the back-to-back road games that you're going to hit, and so second back-to-backs, and sometimes the road trips can get a little bit long. Mm-hmm. It's easy to kind of lose a little bit of focus, and that's where it comes back to the coaching and the leadership group to be able to refocus and to say, all right, guys, let's, you know, hey, sometimes you rely on your goaltender on the road. Sometimes you rely on your power play on the road. Yeah. But this team is getting it done at the right times when they need it, and everything is just falling into line. Going to be difficult in Dallas. Dallas has only lost 2 home games all season. But they are struggling a little bit. Without Tyler Seguin in the lineup, the Dallas Stars offense has been struggling a little bit. So I think this is another opportunity for Washington to come in. They get going early in this game. It could put Dallas on their heels.
Dallas is very good at home this year. You know, they only lost 2 home games, and one of them was in Finland. Like, that counted as a home game, right? So they've only really lost once in their building.
I think they lost 2 in their building.
2 in their okay.
3 road games.
They've been good. That's the bottom line. They've been really good in their building.
Yes.
And that will be a challenge for the Caps. I wanted to just go back to that power play thing because we're talking about it, right? 11 games without Ovechkin in the lineup. Caps power play 32.4%. Prior to that, you know, it was 16%. It was like they were like half of 32. So it is kind of crazy when Ovechkin goes out of the lineup and he's been out for 11 games now that the Capitals power play has produced more. I mean, is that because teams aren't used to that look?
I think it might be a combination. You're not used to the look, but also you're not. And with Ovi chasing Gretzky's goal record, you know, even subconsciously, you might be thinking, I'm going to get it to Ovi. I want to get it to Ovi on the power play. And when he's not there, it's, okay, let's make the best play. Let's make the play that's available. And we're not worrying about now getting it to that one-timer spot. We're now worrying about other plays and moving the puck around in different ways. So there's no question that the Washington power play, it was pretty much centered around Alexander Ovechkin looking for a one-timer. If things weren't working, it was like, oh, you know what's going to go to Ovi and he's going to hammer it. Something's going to happen from there. It used to be get it back to Carlson, see how that went at the point, but I think Ovi was the primary guy. So now they're finding other options, which is going to be great throughout the rest of the season because now they know, hey, you know what, now we've got other options when Ovi comes back. And to defend it, you throw Ovi in there. It's a different look that they're throwing at you because you're not forcing one play. And not that I'm saying they forced it, but subconsciously, I can guarantee Strome's thinking, I got to get the puck over to this guy. Yeah. We're getting the puck to this guy. I mean, Backstrom didn't have to think it. He just got the puck when he was out there. So when he's not there, now we've got other options, and it's working extremely well
for them. As I mentioned for the Stars, their last 21 trips into DC or into for the Caps, last 21 trips into Dallas, 6-13-2. So, and the Dallas Stars have had a really good team, so that plays into it. But we'll see if the Caps can keep that road winning streak alive tonight. The last game on the docket, the Vancouver Canucks, and there they are, Colorado Avalanche with Nathan MacKinnon, the first player to 50 points this season. Nathan MacKinnon just keeps on keeping on.
Watch that game closely in Pittsburgh when he absolutely lit up the Penguins. It was a 6-2 game, and he got his 5 points. It was just, he was unstoppable the way he moved. And Rantanen, unstoppable. Makar on the back end. They are such a fun team to watch. Not if you're a Canucks fan tonight, because these guys are rolling. These guys are moving the puck extremely well. They're getting healthy. Their goaltending is being solidified with Blackwood and Wedgwood in net, which is a huge change, a huge confidence boost to this team, because they know now that they've got confidence in their goaltending. They didn't have that before, and it showed the way that they've played. They have been pushing the pace, and the Vancouver Canucks are struggling, especially at home. They're not winning home games.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. There's
crazy.
5 wins in 16 home games this year.
They just got hammered by the Bruins.
Yeah.
That's not a slam against Boston,
No.
but they like a 5-1 loss.
Yeah, it hasn't been good at home for Vancouver. They've been very good on the road, but it just hasn't translated to their game on home ice. Last year, 720 points percentage on home ice, and this year, as I said, just 5 wins in 16 games. So they'll have their hands full tonight. Just to go back to the goaltending a little bit for Colorado, 6 starts between Blackwood and Wedgwood, .935 save percentage. So huge difference. We'll see if that keeps going. But for the Canucks, they've shuffled their lines. Family friend, Max Sasson, who I know his aunt, has kind of worked his way into the mix here. He had his first goal the other night, so congratulations to Max. He gets moved up into that second unit, as Rick Tocchet has talked about, the emotion. He said 4 or 5 guys are not emotionally involved like at the start of these games. It takes them 20, 30 minutes to get involved. And so maybe moving guys up and around the lineup to kind of inject a little of that emotion, because he said it. I mean, Rick played. And we know how Rick Tocchet played. He said, you got to be jacked up to play in the National Hockey League. And he's not seeing these guys with that emotional investment, which is kind of hard to figure. I mean, the NHL is a hard place. You better be emotionally ready to play every night.
Yeah, maybe they need to take the creamers out of the coffee and just black coffee, straight up, caffeine.
Yeah.
Couple cups.
Yeah.
Get yourself twitching a little bit. Get yourself ready to go. But he's absolutely right. If you come out and you're lethargic in the game, it's, the old joke was, hey, set your alarm for 7 o'clock, not 7:30, because you didn't show up in the first period. Game starts at 7.
Yeah.
And for the Vancouver Canucks, and with Rick Tocchet's comments, the guys are like, okay, we got it. Message received. They've got to start, because the Avs will start fast. You can't have a slow start against the Colorado Avalanche, or most teams in the National Hockey League. But the way the Avs can come at you at their speed, and the way McKinnon's moving with Rantanen, and it's tough when your coach says, we've got 4 or 5 guys. I think they all know who their 4 or 5 guys are that need to pick it up. And you watch the games, they've got to elevate their level of play and their intensity. Maybe they're a little comfortable thinking, you know what, we're a good team. As soon as you think you're a good team, this is what happens. You think, we're a good team, we're going to be fine, and you take your foot off the gas. You have to be at your best every single game. And Rick Tocchet, I played against Rick his junior career, his pro career. Rick Tocchet was 100% or more every single shift.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was like that in practice too, but that's why he was such a great player.
Yeah.
He was an intense individual, played the game hard, did whatever he needed to do to win the shift.
Yeah.
And he was very successful at it. Yeah. He won Stanley Cups at it. He's been a very good coach. Getting that message to players on an 82-game basis, that's the coach's responsibility. And it's not necessarily a motivational factor, it's just getting the players prepared. And I can remember in Boston one time we had Brian Sutter as a coach, and guys were commenting, we weren't ready to play tonight. We came out, sir, we weren't ready to play. Oh boy. Brian came in the next day and he let us have it verbally. Yeah. And it was like, you're telling everybody that I didn't prepare you to start the game on time and that I didn't do my job. He says, and he's like, if you ever come out and say, we weren't prepared, it's like, no, that is on the coach. Yeah. And that's a direct shot. And guys weren't saying it as the coach. It's like, no, we weren't prepared. Individually, we weren't prepared to play. But Brian took it as a responsibility of the coach. And that's where I learned right there that is one of the responsibilities of the coach, to make sure that we are ready to play. Even if the players individually aren't ready, that's where the coach knows the feel of the room. He sees the guys, around. Why do coaches watch warm-up? Why do coaches watch their own team in warm-up? Because they see if guys are sharp. The guys do the same thing all the time. Well, if the guy's hitting it under the bar down, he comes out and warm up and it's a size well wide. Oh, it's high and wide over. Oh, he's kind of flopping his stick handling like Crosby goes up and down on the end of McDonald's.
He's got his
right,
routine.
but so let's say Crosby's losing the puck.
Yeah.
The coach is thinking,
Not thinking about it.
He's off a little. He's off. And that's where the coach might come in at that time and boom, come with that hard blast of energy that he's going to bring into the room. And the guy's like, okay, let's get ready to go. Yeah. If the coach sees that and doesn't do that, and the guys get out in the first period, you're like, oh my gosh, you guys played like you had a warm up. Or for me, can always remember if our team was bad in a warm up in the morning, like the pregame skate, in the morning skate, if you're boom, your passes are off, a little behind, and you're like, well, it's going to be a tough night. And I remember that if I was bad in practice in the morning, I was like, okay, I got to do something. Jump on the bike for 20 minutes. I do something to get my body, change it up a little bit. Yeah. And that's kind of what Rick Tocchet's talking about here. The guys have to do something, but that's the coach's responsibility to make sure you're prepared. And I wouldn't want Rick Tocchet breathing down my neck to make sure I'm prepared to play a game because he's an intense guy and he's going to push that on his players. So I think Vancouver will be prepared to play against the Avs.
And it's, good game within the game. Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, the the best defensemen in the National Hockey League going head-to-head tonight. So it should be a good one, Vancouver. That one's late, 10:30 Eastern Time. When we come back, we'll take a look at the 3 stars of the week. That guy figures to be in the mix. 3 stars next on First Shift. It is time for the 3 stars of the week presented by Geico. And here is a look. Leon Draisaitl, the first star, the 9 points in 3 games. Nate MacKinnon, 9 points in 3 games. Take your pick. But Draisaitl gets the edge. And the third star, how about Linus Ullmark? I mean, a perfect 3-0 on the week. The numbers are unbelievable. Rita, we talked a little bit at the start about Draisaitl and MacKinnon. So let's focus in on Linus Ullmark a little bit because they went out and got him. The Ottawa Senators looking to fix the goaltending problem, right? And they go out and get a guy that had won the Vezina in the last couple of years, has been someone that's really emerged as one of the top goalies. They bring him in, a little bumpy at the start, but his last 7 starts, he's been unbelievable. 6-0-1 in that stretch, .950 save percentage, .950. That's pretty good. He's only given up 11 goals in those 7 games. So he has really found his way. And as we wake up today and we sit here on the 16th of December, the Ottawa Senators have that second wild card right now. So this is the plan. This was the plan for Steve Staios and company there. Let's go get a really good goaltender. We got a lot of good young players. We're going to be a playoff team, and right now they are.
Well, that's what they're pushing for. And Linus Ullmark will mask a lot of defensive issues that the Ottawa Senators have had over the last few years. And then which they haven't had a goaltender who bails their team out because their team has been atrocious defensively. Travis Green has come in, and this is a team that has still got lots of scoring. They'll still, wow you on the power play, wow you with skill, and they're still searching to find their total team defensive game. It has gotten a lot better, but it gets even that much better when your goaltender can make those saves that most goaltenders don't make at the opportune time. And that's what Linus Ullmark has been able to do for the Ottawa Senators. And he has taken it upon himself to push this team into a spot where now you're legitimately saying, okay, if this continues, and .950 is not going to continue.
No.
That's impossible. But .925, .930, that's... You do that, you're a playoff team. You have a goaltender there, you're a playoff team.
He's 9-10 on the season, so that's still very good.
Yeah, but this is a very good, skilled team. They've been like that for a while, but their defensive game just hasn't been there. And like I said, Linus Ullmark's done a fantastic job. Congratulations for third star of the week, very well deserved. And it's going to. I don't see it slowing down. That's the thing, and that's the issue with Ottawa's goaltending in the past. It's been very hot and cold.
Yeah.
I don't see Linus Ullmark. I mean, he's getting into his game. I heard Marty Biron speaking this morning on HL Network Radio. He was talking about, goaltenders. He's moved to a different team. It's a little different for goaltenders than as a player. You're finding your way in the city. there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure on goaltenders. You're pretty much the only guy there. You are the number one guy. You've got, when you're on a power play, you've got five other guys out there, or 4 other players out there. You're in a penalty kill, you're on a line, you've got a line. You're a goaltender, you're on your own. There's a lot more pressure on a goaltender coming into a new city, learning a new environment, learning just how to get to the rink, understanding how your team's going to play in front of you, learning how your defensemen play in front of you. Like where does this guy go? What does this guy do normally?
Communication between the goaltender
and he says it takes a while for the goaltender to really get comfortable. And yeah, you can learn pretty quick. Okay, I get it. This guy's going to do this. But the communication part and understanding, where we're going to, it's a difficult process for a goaltender. And Linus Ullmark's taken a little bit of time to do that. And this is pretty good if you're hitting mid-December and your goaltender is hitting his game the way he is in the last 6-7 games. And I think that time, that adjustment period that he's gone through has been very positive. And I mean, everybody in Ottawa is thrilled right now. This team's playing very good hockey.
And the right guys are putting up points, right? Stützle leads their team with 36 points. I mean, he's been doing well. Drake Batherson, his game has picked up. Brady Tkachuk, we know what he can do, and Josh Norris has been back healthy and playing well. So the right guys are putting up points for them as well. So it's always just a matter of getting better defense and better goaltending.
And it's not just the defensemen on the team; it's the forwards playing better.
Committed.
Team defense. Yeah. And this team has been atrocious for a few years with this group of forwards. And it kind of reminds me of the old Quebec Nordiques before they went to Colorado. They had, you had Sundin, you had Sakic, you had some great,
really high-end players,
some great young players. They couldn't check their hat, type of thing. You have 7-6 games. Yeah. All of a sudden, the defensive game, with some changes of environment changes, and they ended up moving to Colorado. All of a sudden, things started to change. You put Patrick Roy in net, and all of a sudden, this team became a perennial
champion,
team to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah. Because the offense was there. They learned how to play without the puck. I mean, they beat Florida in '96, 1-0. Was that like a double overtime, triple overtime? A 1-0 game.
Yeah.
And that was the offensive team, but they learned how to play defense. Now, I'm not saying that the Ottawa Senators are going to be the Colorado Avalanche.
But I can see the comparison.
They've got great offensive talent. They've got great mobile defensemen. You've got Sanderson, you've got Chabot.
Yeah.
You've got great young defensemen who can move extremely well in Ottawa. But the team had to learn, and they're continuing to learn, Travis has to learn how to play without the puck, and how to defend, and how to keep things to the outside, and how to protect your goaltender. They're starting to do that, and their goaltender is helping them by bailing them out on some of their mistakes that didn't get bailed out in the last few years.
So the Senators are playing some good hockey right now. You know who isn't? The New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres for 2. So we'll talk about the Rangers and their struggles. That's next on First Shift. Well, Reader, the lights have not been all that bright on Broadway over the last 13 games, but you can see it here. 3-10 in their last 13, including a bad performance on Saturday afternoon against the visiting Kings, and the Kings are a good team. Blew the Rangers out in that one. And then in St. Louis last night, Rangers fell behind early, rallied, but couldn't make up the difference, lose there. You can see here, it's just not been good, Reader. So when we look at this team right now, and then he made the lineup changes yesterday, I don't really get, Kaapo Kakko is a healthy scratch. Is it on Kaapo Kakko to be the difference? If you're going to send a message, maybe scratch someone else. If I'm Kakko, I want out of there, to be honest with you, because I don't think it's ever going to happen for him with the Rangers. If it's going to happen, it's probably going to be somewhere else. But you can see ice time kind of ate into the Zibanejad ice time and the Kreider ice time in that game against St. Louis on Sunday night. Although at the end of the game, when they needed something to happen, they did have those guys out there.
This is the only really thing that Peter Laviolette or any coach can do. It's take away players' ice time.
Yeah.
And by healthy scratching someone, I mean, I'm glad you weren't my agent, because it's. Yeah. Just because you're healthy scratched.
But this has been going on with this guy since he came to the Rangers.
But he is what he is.
I know that.
So the Rangers are going to look at him and say, you're going to be our third line, fourth line guy, and we've got other players who are playing well.
But they're missing Panarin last night. So he's out of lineup. He's hurt. So he's out of the
Well,
lineup. So if you're sending a message, you're going to scratch Kakko? Like, what message does that send? He's actually played okay this year.
Yeah, but he's not replacing Panarin. You need someone with the skill level.
I know that. But who is that person?
Going to score you some goals. Well, it's not Kakko. That's for
I know, but
sure.
if it's not Kakko, who is it?
You've got to find someone. I don't know.
Is it Johnny Brzezinski? I mean, who is it? They don't have those players.
Yeah, but you've got to give someone else the chance because Kakko's had the chance and he's proven that he's not able to do it at that level.
But he's actually played pretty well
I'm not
this
saying
year.
he's playing poorly, but he's not playing at that level. So give someone else a chance to get up there and say, okay, we need you to play top 6 minutes now and maybe go get some points for us. Do something. Be a spark. I mean, just because you sit a guy gets benched or.
But he's been that guy. He's been kind of a little bit of a whipping boy in that group since they drafted him. Now, I know he's underachieved for a second overall pick. I get it. It's been a
but
struggle.
It's not his fault he was picked second overall.
It's
not his fault.
I agree
so he
with
hasn't
you.
underachieved. He is what he is.
He is what he to this stage.
Right, and he's a solid. If he's going to be a solid third, fourth line guy for the rest of his career,
he could have a long career.
Be the best you can be every single day. Yeah. And there's a lot more pressure on the guys in the third and fourth line to be their best because you've got everybody who's coming into the team who wants that job, who's going to start in the third, fourth line and then progress. So it's a difficult situation, but just because they said him, that's, to me, it's a non-story. Just because he was second overall, it's a non-story.
Well, if you want to send a message, scratch the Zibanejad. Send a message.
What's that going to do?
Well, what's good does it do to scratch Kakko?
Well, because Zibanejad turns it around. Zibanejad turns around the game. All of a sudden, he has a 3-point game, 4-point game. The power play starts clicking.
But he hasn't, and it's been a long.
But he's definitely not going to do it. But he's sitting in the stands.
I agree, but but I'm just saying, if you're trying to send a message to your team by scratching someone who's on the third line, who has actually played pretty well this year and is a plus player, I think he's their top plus player. I guess Cooley is at 11 and he's at 10. Right now, again, not the end-all, be-all, plus-minus, but Kakko has been a pretty good player.
How many netters has Cooley been on?
Listen, we can break that down. Yeah, but Zibanejad is a minus 15. I mean, at some point, these are trends. And Zibanejad, he's a wonderful guy. I've been around him. Terrific person. The last 18 months, it's a slow decline. I don't know what's gone on. I don't know if it's health issues. But if the Rangers are paying him to be a number one center. That's what he is expected to be.
Right.
It has not happened in the last bunch of months now. So, to your point, I guess my point is this: if you're looking to send some sort of message, that's a bigger message than just scratching Kakko. That's all I'm saying.
To me, it's a non. Again, that's another non-issue. Yeah. If he's playing that poorly, if he's playing that bad, he's still getting 15 to 18 minutes a game on a bad night. Yeah. If he's playing that poorly, not putting up points. Is your team going to be better with him sitting in the stands? What's the message sending? Everybody knows. Yeah. Everybody in that locker room knows that we're not playing well. Everybody knows that they need to play a 60-minute game. I thought the third period against St. Louis, they got going. Cooley got the goal in last night's game.
He's been their best player.
I thought they were playing very well, and I like Fox's comments after the game. Yeah. It's like it's a one and done. We get a cycle going, we get one shot, we get one opportunity, and then they come down back into our zone. And that's more of the issue. So Zibanejad is a guy who can do that. Your top players are guys who are going to generate that. You don't need to send a message by saying, we're going to sit our best player out. It's like, well, you know what? Well, it's not tennis. It's not golf. You've got a whole team, group of players who aren't playing well.
He's not there, but here's the thing: he's not their best player because Panarin is their best player.
Right.
He's out with injury, right? But again, if you're in the message-sending business, I think scratching a guy who's on the third line who's actually played well, you might send the message to the room as like, why are they doing this to him?
I think the message got sent. You traded the captain. Your message has been sent.
Yeah.
No more messages need to be made.
You would think.
Peter Laviolette and Chris Drury are in the winning business.
Yeah.
The message has already been there. The message is out that we're going to move guys. We're going to change things up. Maybe that's the problem right now is that the guys subconsciously are thinking, oh, man, but this team goes from a President's Trophy team to 10 losses, and what do we got? 10
out of the playoffs.
10, how to root a great 12-4-1 start, go 3-10. Yeah, well, they're out of the playoffs. They're a point out. They had a great start. They've had a terrible run.
Yeah.
So if they turn around and win 5 in a row, would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't because it's
then exactly.
It wouldn't, but it doesn't surprise me sometimes when the Sharks win 5 in a row. I mean, this league is hard.
But the Rangers
teams sometimes go on these stretches.
Look at that lineup. That's a pretty good lineup.
See,
just because you don't think Zibanejad is a number one center.
That's where we are at odds on that because people will say that's a pretty good lineup. It is a pretty good lineup. But when Zibanejad is underachieving, when Fox has been ordinary, when other guys in their defense are now asked to step up into different roles and are really maybe not ready for them, it's been the same story with the Rangers for a while now. They lean on those goaltenders heavy. You can see Keandre Miller. He's another guy that's out right now. he's had his real struggle. And I think the world of Keandre Miller. I think he's going to be a really good player. But he's going through a stretch of time where it's not been good, and now he's out of the lineup. So when you say that Ranger lineup looks good, I think there are a lot more holes in that lineup than maybe people think, and maybe that's why they're having the struggles they're having. We'll see.
I think, okay, so Colorado at the start of the year, they struggled, right? They had goaltending issues.
Yeah.
They struggled.
Do the Rangers have Nate McKinnon? Do they have anybody like Nate McKinnon?
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting to. They don't.
Okay.
They don't.
Right.
And they don't have
Cale Makar either.
They don't have a Cale Makar, although Fox is very close.
No, he's not.
Well, not right now.
Not in my opinion.
He can bring offense. He can bring
He's a good
offense.
player.
He hasn't brought it.
Cale Makar is here, and then it trickles down. And Adam Fox is not close, in my opinion.
Right now.
Ever.
Norris Trophy winner.
That's all right. People give out awards all the time. All right, with that,
okay.
We were going to take a quick break. Well, there you go. We're gonna have a little quiz coming up, a little game. Speaking of Cale Makar, little edge work. Not many have better edge work than that guy, Cale Makar. Maybe Quinn Hughes. It's time for a little edge work. JD.
All righty, here we go. I hate to step in and, pour water on the debate that's been going on in the commercial break here.
Come on, it's your job.
Reader's fired up today.
Yeah. What do you think? I'm sitting here quiet? I'm fired up too.
Hey, speaking about fired up.
All I know is next show, JD, I'm getting the last word.
Okay.
Hey, I'll give you
New
the last
segment.
word in this
the last
segment
word.
right now.
Analyst
Or it
the
can be
last
called
word.
the wrong word with
See,
Dave
yeah.
Reed. There you
I
go.
like
The last word.
with Dave
Again,
Reed.
The
gets
wrong
the last
word with Dave Reed. All right,
Last
let's go.
word.
Might be replacing read between lines. Anyway, all right, edge work. Who's got the edge right now? Let's check it out. Couple of elite defensemen squaring off tonight. Quinn Hughes against Cale Makar. You guys see the numbers, but numbers are for nerds. Reader, who you like?
Well, I like Cale Makar in this one, and I'm giving him the edge, especially in this game this evening. Quinn Hughes is wearing the bubble. He got his lip cut open.
Yep.
Scored a goal in that game, though, by the way. Makar is playing with the second star of the week. He's got McKinnon out there. So right now, also Rantanen, that power play's going. And the Vancouver Canucks are struggling mightily at home. So I'm giving Cale Makar the edge.
Okay, I'm with you. And I mean, these are the two most impactful offensive defensemen on the planet. I don't think to me, there's no question about that. As I mentioned earlier, I got Cale Makar like just floating above everyone else. And then Quinn Hughes is kind of very close. A lot of talk about drones lately. If these were drones, Makar would be like flying a little bit higher, but Quinn Hughes is really close, and everybody else is floating below them. There you go.
I feel so left out. I haven't seen any of the drones.
I haven't
here
either.
in Jersey.
I haven't either.
No.
Apparently, they're really big. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what they're saying.
I'm on the 5th floor of a hotel, and I haven't seen any. So.
All right. Well, we'll keep looking.
Reader, keep your eyes open on your drive tonight.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I'll be heading home, so I won't see any.
Okay.
All righty, gang. We might see some special teams playing a role in Washington and Dallas. Check out these special teams comparison here. Caps power play, been very good lately. The Stars penalty kill at home, they're dynamite. EJ, who do you give the edge to?
Well, I'm going to give the edge to the Washington Capitals just because they're so under the radar. Nobody really sees that they're playing really well this year, although they're in first place and, top team in the Eastern Conference. But they are rolling right now with that power play. A little different look with Chychrun up high. You have Carlson in that OV spot. I like how it's going, so I'm going to give the Capitals power play a little advantage.
I'm going to give the Dallas Stars penalty kill.
Well, you're a penalty killing guy. And they are good at it.
They are good at it, but defense wins.
That's true.
Defense wins, and the way the Stars are killing penalties right now, there's pressure. It's tough getting in the zone, and it's difficult to make the plays because they're anticipating and they're all moving as a well-oiled unit. So I'm going to give the edge. Even though the Caps are hot on the road, 10 straight on the road, I'm giving the edge in this one to the Dallas Stars penalty kill.
All right, there you go. JD, we got one more?
We do have one more. It's the marquee matchup, save the best for last.
Okay.
The Oilers and the Panthers, both teams very good on the rush in their respective ways. The Oilers, second in rush offense this season. The Panthers, second in rush defense. Reader, last word for you here. Who do you give the edge to?
I'm giving the edge in this one to Edmonton's rush offense.
All right.
They are. Who did McDavid score that one? He just zigzagged through everybody. Was it Nashville? He scored that one on the
Could be anybody.
he does so often.
Everybody.
But they're so difficult to stop. And in Edmonton, this is a revenge game, so to speak, for the Edmonton Oilers from last year's Game 7. I'm going with the Oil offense.
All right, I'm going to go with you on that because and I'm only going to take the words of the Florida head coach Paul Maurice, who says, I'm happy with pretty much everything on our team right now, but our rush defense stinks. And I don't think he used the word stinks, but it was derogatory in nature. So maybe they'll be focused on that tonight.
He's happy with everything. They haven't scored a goal in 2 games. He's happy with everything but their rush defense. That's what he says.
Well, you know what, Paul? All that experience. We talk about coaching, right? He knows how to work us all. And so that's what his thoughts. So I'll go with the Oilers rush offense, JD. So that's it.
Good stuff, boys.
All right. You want to take us home?
Yeah, sure. I'll take us to break. Okay. What the heck? Coming up next on First Shift, 'tis the season for a little Winter Classic construction. You know, I used to be a groundskeeper, EJ, in a former life.
I know, at Fenway Park.
At Fenway Park, I got to help rebuild the field after the 2010 Winter Classic. Well, the boys at Wrigley getting underway in preparation for this year's Winter Classic. We'll have more coming up next on First Shift.
It's starting to look a lot like Winter Classic time there at Wrigley Field in Chicago. They're getting ready to put the rink in for the Hawks and the Blues. They played there back in 2009, Red Wings and Blackhawks. Red Wings won that one 6-4. So looking good at Wrigley Field.
You know what that reminds me of? I played in Boston. Early in my career, Celtics, Larry Bird, the guys there, when the crew would come in and put the parquet in, because you kind of see a little bit of checkerboard out there. They had the parquet floor. I'm like, that kind of reminds me of the guys picking up the floor, putting the floor down, making sure it was in at the old Boston Garden.
The old Boston Garden.
Yeah, that was so cool.
All right.
That is a lot of work. To get this prepared. Like, we'll see the end of it. It'll be absolutely gorgeous, but that is a lot of work, and it's all starting now. That's fantastic.
I got one more personal item I got to get at the end of the show. My son plays for Stockton University. Shootout this weekend against Rutgers. Whoop! He gave it the old Forsberg. First shootout shot ever in his life. To do that on some bad ice. Very impressive.
Is that the dad cam?
No, it's not my kid. I didn't even take
Brooks,
video.
Is that the dad cam?
I didn't even take video. That's College Hockey Buzz put it out there. It's pretty nice.
Is that going to be the Radek stamp now?
It'll be for Brooksy. It won't be for me. NHL Now is next. We'll see you later.